week 6, R678, being recorded to the cloud. This week is on AI. No, we have like many weeks on AI in this class, and this is the first one, I guess. And this one relates to ChatGPT for language learning, a special issue. And in some ways, this particular week is a reprieve. You all know what a reprieve is. It's a reprieve, or I'm calling it a reprieve, because we only have 6 articles this week instead of 10 or 20. But again, you're to pick 3 or 4 or 5. You can almost read every one of them. We've been fortunate to have the authors of 2 of those articles with us. Me and Belle Lee have authored one of those pieces. And Belle also worked with her colleague Summer from Fordham University out on the East Coast. I think it's in Pennsylvania or New York. Which is it, Summer?
In New York.
New York. Okay. Is it near New York City?
Yeah, New York City.
Is it in New York City?
Yes, the Central Park, near the Central Park.
Wow. And did it snow yesterday?
It is a big snow. We got a snow day yesterday, so I got a day off, which is really fine.
And what year are you there? A sophomore, a junior, a master's student, a doctoral student?
Yeah, I'm a doctor student. I'm the second year PhD student
Okay.
in Fordham.
And what are you studying,
So
Summer?
right now I'm majoring in innovation in curriculum and instruction. So my research interest is more about the intersection about education technology, language learning, and special education. So actually my content area is special education, but I'm trying to pulling lots of things together because that's related to my experience. So I can start with introducing myself.
Well, I think we'll wait for just a second. As you can see, she's gotten published. And because she's starting to make inroads into the intersection of special education, curriculum and instruction, and educational technology. And it's at the intersection of the different fields where new things happen, where exciting things occur, and where possibilities for publication is ripe. And so Summer was astute in seeing this as an open area to be studied. Same with Belle. And I just hopped along and helped Bill out a little bit here and there. And I was lucky to have joined in on this effort. So Belle Lee was my master's student and was my advisee until a couple of years ago when she graduated. And she's gone up to Purdue in August, not about 6 months ago, maybe a little more, and has gotten into a doctoral program and is working with several faculty that I know up there. They're doing great things, and Belle's got some funding to pursue different things. We're going to be continuing to do research and write grants. In fact, we got a couple more in review. We got 2 that are published. One that's in almost final review in Tech Trends, or going back to Tech Trends tomorrow or the next day, right, Belle? And then
Tomorrow.
and IEEE Transactions and Learning Technologies, our 4th paper, probably our most important or most thoughtful and deep paper, looking at self-directed learning and other things within taking AI, within language learning and how people might foster language learning online environments, self-directed online language learning, which is a hot topic today because of Duolingo and other kinds of things. So what we'll do tonight is we'll have Belle she's got her slides, she'll do a presentation, then we'll ask her some questions, and then not Belle, we'll have Summer, and then Belle and I will present the second article, which we've presented before to other faculty and at conferences, but we've changed it a little bit, right, Belle? A few things, updates, and so forth. And so should we get started? Belle, would you like to introduce Summer so that Summer can introduce her slides? Now, I have your slides on my computer, but I assume that you want to control them on your computer. Is that right, Summer?
Yes, that will
Yeah,
be
okay.
more convenient for me.
Yeah, and before you go to your slides, could you tell us what the goal was and what we were hoping to do and how you got involved in the research project and how long it took to collect and do? Just give us kind of the background, contextual stuff before you get into the slides themselves, so we have a little bit of a warm up in there. And Belle, could you introduce Summer and tell us how you guys became partners in the research study, how you got to know each other, and if you have any advice for my students on how they can form similar partnerships and get published in special issues. So I'll start with you, Belle. So Belle Lee was in Bloomington as a master's student. She's up at Purdue. Her mother was studying with me as a visiting scholar about 7 years ago or 6 years ago. Alicia knows her, I think, and she was here about the same time. Belle's mother got stuck here during COVID, and her sister for a while got stuck here. So there's a family were in Bloomington during COVID times. So back then, I had 30 visiting scholars from China all sitting in one class, and Belle's mother was particularly interested in the topic because she was thinking about getting her doctorate, and right now she's taking her doctorate degree and trying to beat Belle, seeing who get done first. But her mother's an English professor in China as well. Belle, would you like to fill in the gaps on your career and then introduce Summer, and Summer can introduce her slides?
Okay, great. So I'm really happy Summer can be here today. And she's, as you know, like she's a second year PhD student. And it's really interesting, like how we got to know each other. Actually, we're in the same WeChat group. That group is for like educational student, like student in majoring in education. We have a WeChat group to post the information and exchange some ideas. And then she posted, I think, correct me if I remember it wrong. And she posted like something like, "Oh, I'm looking for a collaborator, and I'm aiming to publish at least one paper this year," something like this. So I think, oh, she's very determined, and I think I wanted to connect with her because her background is sort of connect with me. She's an Abbey immersion Chinese teacher at International School of Indiana before, so she was in Indiana before. Am I
Yeah,
Indiana
right?
that's
University.
fun.
She was here
No.
in Bloomington.
No, I taught in Indiana. That's the fun fact about me. I was living in Indiana for 2 years. I live in Indy.
Oh,
Yeah,
Indianapolis. Okay.
right.
I'll ask that audience question. How many of you in the audience have ever gone to New York City? Who's gone to New York City ever? How many would like to go again? Okay. So, Summer, put your email in the chat so they can come visit you in New York City.
Yes, I've also put my email in the slides, so you can
Good.
feel free to share slides with the
Yeah,
scholars.
the slides are in Dropbox, and I can actually send them to you all in email too. So they're only 5 MB. So thanks, Summer.
No problem.
Yeah, that's how we got to know each other. And then we start with video chatting to get to know each other. I think so my advice for uh, find a fit collaborator is to always have an open-minded to talk with different people to see if you have any connection or any shared ideas. And we had a very long time that we just exchange our ideas. And then we found this opportunity, this special issue, and then I forwarded to her. And I asked her, do you have any research idea? Can we do something together? And then we wrote a proposal, and she wrote a totally different proposal than I, compared to what we had idea before. So, and that proposal accepted by the special issue, and we decided to do it together. That's how we start. And now I wanted to invite Summer to introduce herself, and also share her research with us.
Yes,
Before you
sure.
do that, Summer, I'm going to ask you one more question, and Belle, one more question. Why did you come to Indiana University, Belle, and what were your goals? And Xiaoying, Summer, why did you go to Indianapolis, and why did you go there for what? And yeah, so Belle first.
Why do I choose to go to Indiana University? Uh, Obviously, my mom was a visiting scholar at IU before, so IU is the only university that I applied for. So I don't have any other options, and I only wanted to. So IU is my first choice and my only choice. The reason is one, you're here, and I know a lot of professor at IU, and I know like instructional system technology is the top one in the field. Um, and the third reason is I already know Indiana, and um, I think um, what's I think I so the first reason is I know the professor. The second reason is the major. I don't have other reasons.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you know why your mother came here?
I'm sorry.
Why did your mother come here?
Why did mom come here? I don't know. Like she got an she got an invitation.
Okay. Okay, Summer, why did you come to IU Indianapolis?
That's a long story, but I came to United States to get my master's degree from George Washington University in 2019. And my goal was finish my master's degree in 1 year. And I did it. But everyone know what happened in 2019 to 2022. It was a COVID time. So George Washington University is in DC. I didn't get an offer from DC, but I did get some offer from California and Indianapolis. But at the end, I choose the offer in Indianapolis. And I came Indiana to be a elementary teacher, immersion Chinese teacher for 2 years. And I got my PhD degree offer, and then I came back to East Coast.
Sounds good. So go ahead, Summer. That's a long-winded way. And you want to fill in any other gaps about yourself, like Belle said, anything we missed?
Sure. So I'm going to start now. So the top,
Again, this is one of the 6 articles for this week.
oh,
Okay? This is one of your choices. So Summer's going to convince you to read this one. Okay.
okay. First of all, thank you for having me here tonight. So our article's title is called Empowering Chinese Language Learner from Low-Income Families to Improve Their Chinese Writing with ChatGPT's Assistant After School. Before I talk more about my research, I do want to introduce myself. Like that's the type of content that we're going to talk, the introduction and what research question that in this paper, and then what methodology that I adopt, and then the result and discussion and my reflection. And also I will leave some time for Q&A. So I want to talk something about myself. So you can go by Summer, and right now I am full-time Mandarin teacher in a public charter school in a low-income communities. And also I'm the full-time second-year doctoral student in innovation and curriculum instruction at Fordham. I also put my email here, so feel free to send me an email if you're interested in anything. So I think my research basically is based on my teaching. So I'm a researcher, also a practitioner. So lots of my research questions just emerge from my teaching. So from the practice, when I teach students, I just noticed that something need to be changed. And that's how I come up with this topic, like how ChatGPT can help students. So right now I'm teaching 9th to 12th grade students in a low-income families. And then that's their first time to learn it. And those are our team, Belly, and another one is my professor. So the introduction is about ChatGPT. So it was founded in 2022. And then we start our research in 2023 around April. So right after ChatGPT is invented. And at that time, it's not like right now everybody are using ChatGPT because it's still new back to 2022, 2023, because it just emergent technology. But I did try a little bit and I found out such amazing technology, and it's free. Of course, it has the advanced version, you need to pay for it. But the basic version, it is free and it's so intelligent. And I just feel like when I use it, I feel like it's changing people's life. And then I started to do some research. I noticed that there's no article about ChatGPT back then because it's just emergent. But it does have some articles about AI in language learning. about their listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And then I also noticed that because I taught Chinese in different states in United States, and then I know Chinese is the second large language that people are learning right now, especially for the dual language program. But the challenging is that English learner when they learn Chinese, the most difficult part is writing because Chinese and English are totally different language system. I know we have some native speaker here because in English, you just need to remember the alphabet. You have the phonics to help you remember how to spell it. But in Chinese, we have writing as a system. Pronunciation, pinyin is another system. And also the meaning is not related to its pronunciation. Sometimes it's related to how it writes, but still it's very abstract for Chinese language learner. So that's the reason why I noticed like writing is always the most challenging part for kids, even though they can speak fluently, but that doesn't mean they can write. And in my current school, those are low-income family students, so which means they don't have any money to hire a tutor after school to help them improve their Chinese, improve their writing. Compared to my last job in Indy, it was a private school. It was like super rich, and everybody in my Mandarin class, they got a tutor, and they paid $60 for it. But current school, that's impossible. So I'm thinking that's a huge problem because that's the education inequity. And I think technology may be a solution for narrowing the gap. So I'm using a social justice lens and the education equity framework to do this research. So my research question is there a functional relationship between Chinese language learners from low-income family using ChatGPT after school twice a week and improvement in their Chinese writing? I know that's very long. So basically it means, does the ChatGPT help Chinese learner to improve their writing? And the methodology that I use is single case design. So it's not, I didn't use quant, I didn't use qual, I used single case design because in my first year, I had a methodology class. It's about single case design. And when I had a class, I just feel like that's the perfect methodology that I should adopt in my research. So I use ABA design. I'm going to explain it a little bit. So the first A means the baseline phase, which is before intervention, was the level of the participants. So I adopt 3 writing scores before the intervention as their baseline phase. And then the B means intervention phase. So which means when I intervene them with ChatGPT, how does their progress look like? And then during the intervention time, I'm going to monitor their progress. So B is the intervention time. And then A means the reversal time, the last A. The last A means when I take off the intervention, how would they perform in their academic? And then I would just monitor the scores after I take off the intervention. This methodology, I think it's really common in special education because like when people try to intervene a kid, they would try to use ABA to see if it works or even ABAB. That's the reason why I choose this methodology to see if my intervention using ChatGPT is effective or not. And then about my study design, the setting. So I start this research in my own school. The school that I'm teaching is a public charter school in the Bronx in New York. I know in Indiana, we don't have lots of school like the charter schools. We have public school or private school. So charter school is like government funded, operate by individual. So they're free tuition, they're free for all. And usually the public charter school include lots of low-income family scholars. And my study was started April 2023 until May 2023. So it was around 3 weeks. I know that doesn't sound like 3 weeks because we have 1 week spring break. So that's the reason why it's like, it sounds like a month, but actually it's only 3 weeks intervention. And my students, mostly they're Hispanic American, but they speak English really well because they were born, some of them were born and raised in United States. I try to talk about their ELA levels and mathematic levels, but back then, so 2023, before that, it was COVID. So lots of middle school, they wait for the state test for math and ELA. So there's no official test for their English level or mathematic levels, but their English levels are native speakers. And then I recruit 4 participants. They're all ninth grades and they're around 14 years old to 16 years old. They're all first-time learner. They have never learned Mandarin before they come to the ninth grade, but they do have different levels because they're not on the same pace. So some are a little bit advanced than others. Some are a little bit slower than others. And then the intervention, I put a chart here. Maybe it's a little bit more, but so the first session that we have is just introduce the ChatGPT to all the class. And then like, what is ChatGPT? What is it about? And then we have 5 series lessons, which is in here. So first we talk about what is ChatGPT, and then the second section I asked them to have initial interaction with ChatGPT, like how do you use the words, how do you frame your questions, and then also the third one is more advanced. Like we talk about the text generation techniques, like how do we ask the question that we really ask, and then ChatGPT can give us the question or answer our question appropriately. And also, we talk about the brainstorming and idea generation. I'm sorry, I don't know why the last one is not showing up here, but the last one we also talk about the use of ChatGPT. How do you appropriate use ChatGPT? Because I know right now people raise their concern about using ChatGPT at school. In New York public school, the DOE, the Department of Education, they banned those AI tools, which I feel like is a shame because if you use it well, it's a good tool. And the measures, so basically I use 2 ways to measure their learning. First is the writing assignment. So they would turn in their writing assignment twice a week. So one day they would write it on a Google Doc, which means they can type. So that's the easiest one because they don't need to actually write it. And the other one, they're going to write on the paper. And both of the assignment are the same. The reason why we need them to do twice is because first one, we want to prepare them. Like they know what to write, although maybe they're not necessarily know how to write the characters, but they know what to write, the content. And then the second time they can, based on what they wrote before, and then they can continue write the characters. And we have 3 topics. First topic is about self-introduction. As I mentioned before, this is an emergent level. So the self-introduction topic, they can create a dialogue about, hey, asking what's your name, and then how old are you, and then respond it. And then also topics about family members, like how many people in your family, who are they? And then the last one is like an interview. This one is you can see the last one is a little bit different from previous because this has more requirements for them. It's like a format, like how do you write an interview? And then they all use ChatGPT to help them, not generating the ideas, but help them as a tutor, help them to fix their notes. So for example, after they finish writing online, they can ask ChatGPT, hey, can you check it for me? Hey, can you like proofread for me? And then they can self-correct it. And then we will talk more about it. And I have some example so that you can see it more directly. Like, what do I mean? Like using the ChatGPT to self-correct it. And then the next the next measurement that I use is the weekly reflection. So every week, the scholars, they need to write a reflection about their experience and their feelings about using ChatGPT. How does it feel like using ChatGPT, and does it help them? So they need to reflect on this process. They have the option either write on the Google Doc or on the paper. And then, so for the writing assignment, because I have the conflict of interest because I'm the practitioner and researcher, so for the traceability of my data, I would not like to grade my students because, I always hope that I got the best data, but that's not the case. So I invite another teacher who's also very familiar with the IB curriculum because I'm teaching in the IB school. And then she's the native speaker, so she's fluent in speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And then I asked her to grade my students' paper. And then the grading rubrics here, I know here is really small, but I think you have the copy of my paper so you can see it in the at the end of the article. And then what I found is that is the ABA design at the end, the chart, the figure. So I have participant 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see all the slides. And this is the A, this is the baseline before they start. And then there's the B, intervention. And then when I take off the intervention, that's the reversal phrase. And then the finding is like 4.4 participant. They did demonstrate a functional relationship between their writing score and the use of ChatGPT. In another word, it shows that ChatGPT did help their writing scores. It's working. But there's still like something different. So 2 participants, you can see here, these are considered 2 participants. So something I forgot to mention. So in IB system, we're not using ABCD to grade people. We're using 1 to 8 as a scale to grade people's ability. So 1 is the lowest, 8 is the highest, and 3 means passing. And what does each number means? We can always go back to the rubric, look at the descriptor. But 1 and 2 basically means they can only use very limited vocab and then the sentence structure. So you can see with the lower baseline, they did not pass at all. They're below 3. And then after the intervention, you can see they're passing, right? And then at the end, when we remove the intervention, their grades are dropping. However, they're still getting a 3, like as an average, like which means they're still passing. So we can see immediate improvement when we start the intervention for the lower baseline. And however, for the higher baseline, you can see it's not changed a lot at the beginning of the 3 sessions. But after the 5th or the 6th sessions, it start improving. And then also like when we take up the intervention, they are dropping. So my thinking is that the lower baseline, because they have a lot to learn. So when we put the intervention with them, it just helped them immediately. And then for the higher baseline level, they already know a lot. So they're not really sure how ChatGPT can help them. But as long as they using the ChatGPT, they found out ChatGPT can help them to deeper their thinking, and then they can get a more complex sentence structure, and then with a more well-structured articles. And here are some example. There are some others, but I just took some. So this is the higher baseline of the scholars. You can see at the beginning, some of you are native speakers, so you can understand that. So you can see some of them made some mistakes, like it's not really making sense, or they are missing something. But after using ChatGPT, you can see ChatGPT actually helped them correct lots of the errors, and then they know why they got it wrong. So basically, like for this participant, it only got one thing wrong, but basically he changed everything. And then also you can see how he expand his ideas. Like before, it's like he just basically talk about how what's your name, what's your grade, but at the end he also talk about like what kind of job that does your mom do. So I think that is really a good way for them to learn and then self-corrected, self-guided learning. And then also we talk about the Google Doc, like because the first assignment that they need to do is just write on the Google Doc. So you can see, for example, here, they wrote everything. And then they wrote this characters wrong. But when language learner, when they do their homework, they won't realize that I did this one wrong. They need somebody to tell them, do I did this one wrong or did I did it right? And then after ChatGPT, it just revised everything for them. And there's also some reflection from the students. So this one, it basically talk about how quickly they can get response to their question because they won't have me every single day. I will have them every other day. So which means like when they have some problems, they need to save it until the day they have me and ask. So sometimes they would just like forgot their questions. But ChatGPT is like their personal tutor, just give them all the question immediately as long as they type it. And this one is talking about how ChatGPT empowered them because these scholars, they just don't know anything. And then their parents cannot speak Mandarin, nobody can speak Mandarin, and then he just feels so frustrated. So he doesn't know where to go. But ChatGPT can help them, and then he immediately improved his writing scores. This one, he just talked about ChatGPT just like a friend, who just like a very good friend from him, like because it just can empower him by providing all the answers. So they show their excitement and empowerment when they're using ChatGPT. That's what I found.
I want those friends.
Yeah, and then also I have some reflection about my research. So first is the population. I'm also doing another research project is about VR. Like I got a grant from VR, and then I have around 12 VR in my classes. So the topic is similar. So I'm thinking about the population. So this time I might want to include more minority, which means like the students who are in special education field, like who has learning disability or speech disability, to see how VR can help them. So that's like how I want to expand my population a little bit this time. And then also I feel like my theoretical framework is not as strong. I need to say my article is not perfect at this point, but I promise the next time when I publish, you'll see a much more stronger public manuscript. And then for the methodology, I'm also thinking like only using single case design maybe is not strong enough. So I'm thinking like maybe next time I'm going to use single case design and qualitative study. Like I need to interview my participant and then get a deeper understanding what's going on, why it work, why it doesn't work. So it will give me a bigger picture about this emergent technology. And last is Q&A. Anybody have any questions? Feel free to ask me. I'm going to stop share.
Wonderful job
Thank
for your first study. I mean, just the sky's the limit for someone who can understand research, do research, present research in a conversational way that's quite understandable yet theoretically grounded. So I think we need to give you a round of applause first before questions. You know,
Thank you.
it's really quite a pleasure to interact with young people who want to get into the field and then do something immediately that's impactful. So thank you for that. I'm going to let anyone in here jump in with the first question. I know Lena and Jill had some things in the chat. You know, either one of you can go first, or anyone else.
Okay, I
Jill
can go
first.
first. Yeah, although I have some very strong nasal sound today. Hi, Summer and Bella. I really appreciate your speech here. And I really want to know some specific or detailed strategies that you use on your students that can help them use ChatGPT as a scaffolding tools instead of probably the tool that they make them too depend on it. Because as for me, I know most of the students will use have ChatGPT to directly revise their draft instead of probably ask them to offer some writing tips. So I'm more curious and interested in something like strategies, like more practice, like more useful for the teaching practitioners. Thank you. Yeah.
I think for using ChatGPT, because right now people have debate about should the K-12 students use ChatGPT, but DOE in New York, they banned ChatGPT. I feel like that's a shame because that's such a advantage that 21st century people should use it, especially for those disadvantaged people. So in the writing class, I understand like people rely on that. And I always told my students, like, please don't let the AI to take your wisdom away. AI is good, but don't let it replace you. That will be a problem. You can use AI to help you become better, but not like take away the intelligence from you. So there are several ways that I know like teachers are concerned. Are they going to copy and paste from ChatGPT? I think there's some software that you can use, but you are the teacher. Actually, you know all the students. If they copy and paste from ChatGPT, you can read that because they are not native language learner. So it's really easy to identify if they're using ChatGPT copy paste or not, because sometimes you can see this is not their nature language, like that's not the way that they talk, or that's not sounds like that, and that's not their level. So I think that's really easy. And then also in the IB school, we are really strict about academic integrity, so they know what's the consequence for breaking the rules. And they always know at the end, ChatGPT or AI, everything is a tool. In a real exam, they're not going to use it. They're just using this tool to help them to improve. And when you're talking about the brainstorming, I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly. Like you say, if the students, they're not sure what to write, right? So I feel like if the student need the structures, they can ask ChatGPT, because ChatGPT does give you a very clear structure about what you can write. But the content is just like it gave you the scaffolding, it gave you the structure, but what's inside, you need to think about it. I think that could be a practice, like scaffold the students with the structure, and then eventually they can think of the structure by themselves. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Summer. Do you ask the students to use ChatGPT to correct like syntax of the languages?
Yes, I would ask like when they're doing their homework, yes. If they feel like I'm not confident about what I'm writing, yes, you can ask ChatGPT. Can you proofread my writing? Can you just like correct my errors? I think that's acceptable because they need to know what they did good, what they did wrong, and then they learn from it.
So you don't think we really have to provide some prompts for students, right? They can just use ChatGPT as they will.
You mean the assignment
The
prompts?
prompts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. I will give them some prompts. So if you,
Okay.
yeah, so in my sorry, I will share my screen again so you can see, because it just depends on the students' level, because my students are emergent. So I did give them some prompts. So you're interviewing a new classmate in your class. The dialogue of the interview, you may ask their name, age, grade, nationality, family, etc. So I'm giving them some prompts like you should ask this, this, this. And then they're going to write about it. Yeah.
Hi, Summer. It seems my turn to ask question. First of all, thank you very much for your sharing of your research. And I think your research gave me a lot of enlightened ideas. Because every year in China, I work in Hefei Normal University, and every year I need to supervise my graduate students and also undergraduate students for the internship in middle school. And they teach the middle school students English. And also I'm thinking about to do some project or research about using this large language model, the AI, to help the students to do those homework. I'm thinking about this idea. So really, your research also gave me a lot of different perspectives. But here I have the question. I have typed it in the chat place here. That is during the intervention, your intervention process. How did you know that? And how did you know that the student utilized the assistant of the ChatGPT? And in what way did they use it? I mean, you didn't know, you cannot, follow them, right? Every step. Then how did you know that, the process? And another one is, how about is that a kind of pure ChatGPT intervention or a kind of a human-computer collaborative intervention with you as the instructor to help?
Thank you so much for the question. I think that's a really good question. So first, how do I monitor if they're using ChatGPT correctly? Because we will have ongoing workshop and then let them know how to use ChatGPT, and also because they have no help at all after school. If they need to correct their writing, the way is like either you use ChatGPT or you ask me, because they won't hire a tutor and there's no Chinese friend around them. So when they turn in their assignment, when I look at the assignment, I know if they're using ChatGPT or not, because ChatGPT helped them correct their errors. And the other way that is like sometimes I will talk to my participant, hey, how do you feel like ChatGPT? Do you have any challenge when you're using it? And also, the ChatGPT, when you're using it, there's a history. And I would say, hey, can I just take a look? How did you frame your question? How did you ask for help? So I would just like simply, but not everyone. So I would just simply look at how do they ask and interact with ChatGPT. That's very good. I thank you for bringing up. And for the second question, yes, it's purely ChatGPT. I didn't do anything. I just like assigned their homework, and then it's purely like see how ChatGPT can help them with their writing.
Okay. So thank you for your answer. And I think just now you mentioned about the workshop, right? You will have the following workshop. I think that's a good idea to know what the students have done.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and also teach them something new, because when they're using the ChatGPT, they will always come up with a new question, like how can I apply this into practice, and then how do I ask this kind of questions? So during the intervention time, we also have the workshops for scholars.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Amelia, would you like to talk about what Lilia is?
It's Lily. Hi there, Summer. Thank you first for coming to talk, because I read your article before this class, and it was really so interesting for me because I teach English in Japan. So your research design was something just really interesting to me, and how you're using ChatGPT. For English teachers in Japan, we've been playing games with prompting ChatGPT to make the same mistakes as our sophomore English students make. And about 40 of us teachers decided we could, rate the essays, and we're only shooting about 50% in detecting if it was a mock essay full of mistakes that a typical Japanese learner would make in English, or if it was written by someone with competence. So that is what we're struggling with. So that's why I found that withdrawal period off your study so interesting. Like, how do the students manage when you take away that aid? Especially, I was interested in that student number 2 who was failing, and how did it feel when they were winning and they were, passing their writing, and then all of a sudden they're back down to like nearly passing, because I think that represents a lot of my students here. But that was more of a comment. I just wanted to mention in the chat, I put some of the teachers here are using Lily AI, which does scaffold English, and it tells the students what in my context is English language learning. So it tells them what they're doing wrong in their writing, and it's looked at more of like an aid or a tutor that they can use in class. But I guess now that I can ask a question, and like I said, I really got into your study a lot. My question would be, do you think that this is going to change the whole after-school tutoring industry?
Thank you so much. That's such a meaningful question. So what I did right now is I want to address the education inequity. I do think it can change, not like the whole district, but at some point it can change the after school program, especially when they go home. Because, in low income families, their parents cannot offer any help for the kids because they're not expert in math, they're not expert in science, they're not expert in Mandarin, and they have more than 2 jobs. So they're busy with earning their bread. So it's hard for them. But kids, they still need help. Where the help come from? I think ChatGPT can help. It's not only the after school program, I feel like it's also when they come home, when they go home. That can be such a powerful tool to help them. Yeah. And you were talking about the student who are failing. Yeah, that's the risk of this study, because we need to take the intervention away, and then people may feel a little bit frustrated, a little bit discouraging. But as I mentioned before, this is just a tool, because eventually they're not going to use in their real exam. That's just something that they can help them with. So, but still, like, all those people are failing, but compared to their baseline, it's still higher than their baseline, which means they're still making progress. This is a good sign. But as long as like they keep practicing and then uh receive immediate feedback, I think eventually they will pass the test.
Thank you. Their Chinese writing was also very amazing, that they have to write the characters. So wonderful. Thank you for coming to our class.
Thank you.
Amelia, are those sophomores in high school or sophomores in college?
University.
Okay. So, and Summer's a sophomore in doctoral program in her second
Yes.
year, technically speaking. Risa has a question. Risa, you want to ask it?
Yes, since it seems that the researcher, they have evaluated the students before and after the intervention. I wondered if there was no ChatGPT and they were subjected to traditional class, and the progress of those students, it would be better or worse?
Sorry, I think I didn't make it clear before. So this is not about the class time. So class time, everybody's the same. The only difference is when they go back home and after school, they can use ChatGPT. So that's the only difference. So the classroom time is everybody's the same. The difference is when they go home, finish school, they're going to use ChatGPT.
No, I mean, I wish there were those other people, maybe control people, that they didn't use the ChatGPT, and you were able to evaluate the progress of the people who used ChatGPT after the school for their homework and the people who didn't use ChatGPT, and you were able to compare them.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So that's something I talk about. So my methodology is not that strong, but I'm also thinking about doing a control group and the experimental group. Yeah, thank you so much.
Great, great. Thank you.
Again, it's a first step, and their second step might be add more complexities or nuances to it that she didn't do in the first study. Anyone else have a question? Comment?
I have a quick comment.
Yeah.
So, congratulations, 3 Lees, not only Li Xiaying and Li Belle. I should mention Belle's mom, Hong Ying, is also very excellent. She is excellent scholar. So here I should mention it. I do think that these articles are full of profound insights. So I can learn a lot from you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other things before we go to the article with Belle and I? And I had thought for a second that we'd take a 5-minute break, but I'm actually thinking that we'll just go on through, and anyone needs to jump in and leave for 5 minutes and come back. We'll try and finish up by 8 o'clock tonight, Belle and I. We have about a half-hour presentation, and then we'll do Q&A. I think that's right, right, Belle? So we'll go back and forth between Belle and I presenting. I think we'll lose some momentum if you actually stand up and walk away tonight. Unfortunately, I really need to refill my tea, but I may go in when Belle's presenting here in a little bit. So thanks all for coming tonight. And next week we are in precision education. And then I think the following week we have a couple colleagues of mine who edited the special issue from Singapore and Hong Kong. That's in 2 weeks. So yeah, we should have some interesting special issues coming up. Okay, so let me I've got the slides loaded, Belle. I can show them on my screen, if that's okay, Belle. We actually don't need to have the slides up to do a little introduction. So maybe it is best, Belle, for you to go ahead and introduce. Let me give you a little context. About 14 months ago, back in the fall of 2022, I think Belle contacted myself and Xiaojing Ko from the Center on Language Technologies and Language Technology. And Xiaojing's a former student of mine, and she got her PhD about a decade ago, about 10 or 12 years ago. Has been doing great work, but we haven't had a chance to work together. And during the past year, we're working a lot because Belle's involving us all. We've got 4 papers that we've worked on, and now a 5th and a 6th and so forth. So Belle had a great idea to start understanding what's going on in this wonderful world of AI, and to try and make sense of all the people who are kind of like taking over the teaching roles, but in an online environment. They're doing what's called YouTubers. Like we used to have bloggers 20 years ago, we now have inundated with YouTubers who are teachers in effect, who study languages, study new techniques and strategies, and they have a clientele, people who subscribe to their channel in YouTube and can maybe ask questions and so forth. So they existed for 2 decades. Those language instructors have been resident in YouTube forever, but ChatGPT and generative AI enables us to do more than we ever had. And so Belle's wondering, well, how are they using ChatGPT and how are they using generative AI to improve their instructional techniques, as well as to pass on instructional strategies and resources, and create resources that are unique and can be easily transferred to those students. So she found, and I'm not sure the exact number, was it 53 initially, or what was the number, Belle, that you found in the first round?
The first, you mean the video?
Yeah, how many people?
how many people? Like I
Yeah.
only remember the video, the number of the
How
video.
many videos?
140.
Yeah, 140 different videos. And so we've been analyzing them, and putting them in articles for the past year. And so at first, it took me a little while to figure out what Belle was trying to do, because Belle always has some smart ideas. She's done many studies as a master's student and postmaster's student, taught in one of our East Asian language centers here at IU, and was always partnering with people for new projects. And so, once we got going on this, I kind of understood. In interviewing, we interviewed, I don't know, how many was it that we totally interviewed? Was it 19?
19,
Yeah,
including like if we count the expert that we interviewed, it will be 20,
20, yeah.
22.
So it was fun, totally fun talking to these people, and as interviews always are. But each of them are really special. In fact, a couple of them have been in my podcast show. They have an organization called Language Boost, and one of the guys in Language Boost knows 14 languages. Another guy knows 16 languages. They were what's called polyglots. So we've interviewed many of them are polyglots, or know multiple languages and teach in multiple languages. I was surprised a bit about how many were teaching Japanese, but also Chinese and English and Spanish and other things. But Japanese was one of the popular languages out there. I'll be quiet now and let Belle introduce the study, and then we'll open up the slides and then we'll walk through. So Belle, you want to fill in the gaps and elaborate a bit on all 4 studies in effect, and what we're doing.
Okay. So today's presentation will be mainly focuses on our first research, and we'll touch upon a little bit on our third research. So our first research, all of our 4 research are based on YouTube or YouTuber data. So all the perspective are from YouTube or YouTuber. So our first research start with exploring YouTube, like based on analyzing YouTube video to find out the perception and of the affordance of the ChatGPT, and we focuses on benefits and drawbacks and concerns of using ChatGPT in language education. And our second research, we did a second round of search, but we narrowed down our video number from 140 to about 44 video, because we have more rigorous criteria. We wanted to have a high quality video and include more various diverse perspective, because the second research we're trying to exploring the multilingual application of ChatGPT. So the second research mainly focuses on educational affordance and also showcase some best practice. So for the second research, we identified 18 different languages that ChatGPT can support people's learning. And based on those 2 research, those are all based on videos. And then we start interviewing YouTubers, and we had a poll of YouTuber who posting video about ChatGPT and language learning. So I have sent out like more than 50 invitation to different YouTubers. Only 19 of them accept the invitation, because they are all over the world, and it's really hard to, and they are running their own channel, doing their own business. They're really busy. So some of them even have like million followers. So we are really honored to like being able to talk with them. So the rest of 2 are based on our interview with YouTubers. The third research is the data is from language teaching YouTubers. And the fourth one is based on all the YouTubers, including learners and teachers. So, and the last 2 are more focuses on self-directed language learning, but the first 2 are more general.
Self-directed language learning, or self-directed online language learning, SDOLL or SDLL. But which one do we use here? I think we call it SDOLL maybe, but
SDLL.
SDLL, okay. So let me call up the slides here. And just 1 second. There we go. Okay. So Belle, you want to do this first slide?
I think we're good.
Okay. Embracing the disruptive language of teaching and learning, analyzing YouTube content creation related to ChatGPT. Very simple, straightforward. And IU people there in cream and crimson, and Purdue people in blue. I don't know, is color blue up there at Purdue? I don't know. So Xiaojing Ko, as I mentioned, was my student. Sharon Wang was also my student. Xiaojing was my advisee. Sharon minored at IST. She got her master's in IST and her doctorate in language ed. And then Belle and I on this project. And we've got 4 papers. Again, 2 are in final review, 2 are published rather quickly. These first 2 are published rather quickly. The one you're assigned for this week is in languages. There's another one in the International Journal of Computer Assisted Language Learning and Teaching, IJ CULT, exploring multilingual applications of ChatGPT, uncovering language learning affordances on YouTube or videos. Then we have 2 that are, it says proposal accepted. It's more than proposal. That one's in final rewrites, we think. It will come out, what, in November in the fall or in May? Well, maybe it was in
May or June. I don't remember.
May or June, yeah. So it will be out late this spring. The Tech Trends one, exploring interventions in self-directed language learning with generative AI, implementations and perspectives of YouTube content creators. And then IEEE, it's called IEEE Transactions in Learning Technologies. And that's been rewritten.
我听不到，
And
我干嘛？
what's that?
Sorry. I just opened my AirPods so I cannot hear anything. Now it works. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so this one is really in final review, reconceptualizing the self-directed language learning of generative AI. This one includes an enhancement to a model of self-directed learning, and maybe the most impactful article because it's actually working from a model and critiquing a model or expanding that model. That's a popular one from my friends they developed at the University of Georgia initially, Janet Hill and Lillian Song. So research focus, embracing disruptive language teaching and learning field, analyzing YouTube content creation related to ChatGPT, exploring multilingual applications of ChatGPT, uncovering language learning affordances in YouTuber videos, exploring interventions in self-directed learning with generative AI, and reconceptualizing self-directed language learning in an era of, so it involves SDL and design, SDL in instruction, educational affordances, best practices, benefits and drawbacks, and concerns. Belle, you want to add any comments here?
I think the 4th one is a really important piece of our work. So today we would like mainly talk about the first one, the 3rd one, because they're kind of similar and complement each other. We will share our paper if it's published.
Sounds good. So here we are in the wonderful world of ChatGPT. Belle, take over.
Right. So before we dive into the specifics of large language model and ChatGPT, I'd like to start with a question for all of you. So have you ever like used any generative AI before the launch of ChatGPT?
How about we do this? If on a scale of 1 to 5, if you've used it a lot, put a 5. If you use it somewhat, put a 3. And if you've not or utilize it just once or twice, put a 1. Put a 0 if you've never used it. So 0, 1, 3, or 5 in the chat window, and just go ahead and put the number in.
Yeah. So remember, it's before the launch of ChatGPT.
Before the launch.
Right. So any, like, I think my question will be, any of you used generative AI before the launch?
Before.
Yes.
Okay, we've got some 3s out here and a 0. Jennifer's honest as usual. Okay, now let's fill it out again. As of today, how would you fill it out? And Alexa would count, Amelia.
Mhm.
Google Home would count. ChatGPT, Claude, Bard, Genesis, which is, I think they've changed the name of Bard to Genesis, was it? Or
So I guess at least I never used generative AI like before the launch of ChatGPT.
yeah.
But actually, I know it for a long time. I have a student who majored in large language model, mentioned it for a long time. He is mainly doing evaluating large language model, but I don't understand at that time. So
How-
actually, go
How
ahead.
about you just type in the chat window, me, M-E in capital letters, if you use it consistently every day. Anyone who uses AI every day, just type me.
Now,
Yeah. Oh, we got almost, we're speaking to the choir here. Almost all the people here are now utilizing it every day. Great. Thanks, Xiaoying, Risa, Lena, Belle, so forth. Okay, Belle, keep going.
yeah. So I just wanted to highlight that actually large language model existed for a long time before the launch of ChatGPT. Well, this model, like such as in the slides, Google T5 have been around since 2019. The launch of ChatGPT marked a very important moment in the field because the innovation of ChatGPT is actually wasn't in its advanced capabilities, but in its accessibility. So in the past, ChatGPT or large language model, you need the people with programming skill to communicate. But now, like everyone, regardless of their technical background, can engage in a neutral and intuitive dialogue with the model. So that's where its innovation at. Can we go next slide? So in this slides, on this, you will see 2 bar charts illustrating ChatGPT 3.5's performance across different area of problem solving. And the first chart shows the zero shoot performance. So in this scenario is the AI is giving a problem without any additional context or examples. And the second chart shows the few shot plus chain of thought performance. So in this scenario, ChatGPT 3.5 is provided with a few examples before being presented with the problem. And but this data is based on SCI Bench, is a collection of I don't remember exactly the number, like 600 problem source from widely used textbook in college level courses in the US. So this research highlights the potential of AI. Oh, are we going to next slides? As a supportive support in STEM education. Yeah, I can finish this one. So for language education, AI, especially, let's go to the next one. So for language education, AI, especially AI chatbot, has been widely explored before the launch of ChatGPT. So for example, Huang study, he conducted a review of 25 articles on the topic of chatbot supported language learning. So this study found that chatbot facilitate language learning tasks through timely response, ease of use, and personalized interaction with the student. It also concludes 5 pedagogical use, interlocutors, and simulation, transmission, helpline, and recommendation. So like I wanted to highlight that the study also identified several challenges in using chatbot for language learning, including technical limitations, the novelty effect, where interest may wane over time, and cognitive load issues.
And one of the co-authors is Dr. Timothy Hugh, Kifong Timothy Hugh from now at the University of Hong Kong. He was at Singapore before that, and he is an alum of our doctoral program from 20 years ago, and he's written a lot on various topics in emerging technologies, including online learning, blended learning, MOOCs, and here language learning online and mobile learning, and much, much more.
Now ChatGPT is widely recognized. However, when we conducted our research, ChatGPT was still in its early age, with limited usage. So the debate at that time, even now, often centers on ChatGPT's accuracy, and content quality in education. There is little discussion on practical application or insights from the early adopter. I mean, at that time. And there is a long-standing, as Summer mentioned, concern over potential misuse. And for instance, I don't remember exactly, New York University imposed an early ban on ChatGPT. So New York, there are a lot of schooling at New York banned the ChatGPT until now.
So, Belle, I'm going to
Mhm.
have you, for just a second,
Mhm.
talk more about this so I can send everyone the slides. I've had a request to send the slides, and it'll just take me 1 minute. So just tell them a little bit more about where you've presented this so far, how many different places.
Where you print, what do you mean by present so far in different places?
Like at the, presenting to,
Where we present this research.
yeah,
Oh, okay. So we present our research at Boise State University.
Boise
And
State.
Boise State University.
Idaho, yeah.
And we also present our research at IFTA conference. It's an Indiana, in-state conference in Indiana. So it's a language conference. We also presented our research at another place, right? But I don't remember.
Radio and TV building at
Oh,
IU.
right. Right. That one, but in Chinese, because I used to work at the Department of East Asian Language and Culture. So we present our research there to students who are learning Chinese. Some of them are very advanced and some of them are beginner Chinese learners. And I present our research in Chinese, so in their target language.
Okay, I've sent the slides to everybody. These slides in particular, however, are 40 megs, so I did not send, I sent the PDF of these slides. So there's a PDF of this slide and the original slides of the summer slides. So if that makes sense. And all of them, PDFs and originals, are in Dropbox. So, but yeah, you'll have everything. It just arrived to my inbox as well. Let me go back to sharing. Thanks for your patience, everyone. And see if I can find this again. Okay. There we go. So let me go to the next slide, Bill.
Right.
Okay.
So this is so this slide only lists several early research on ChatGPT in language education. I would say the quality of the research varies because it's really early stage. And the research landscape on the topic of AI in language education is continually evolving. Based on my reading, the primary of interest is exploring ChatGPT's role in language education. For example, to examine how it can be used to support and enhance language learning, which includes, for example, assessing ChatGPT's features and benefits, like what we did, affordances, or its potential to improve language skills, like its potentialities and strategies for its integration into language teaching practice.
So I want to make a comment. If you look back at the previous slide, 23, 2023, 2023, 2023, 2023, 2026, and now here, 2023, 2023, I mean, so I guess no one could critique us for having an old literature review. You know, and Kanke, the second one, he's published a couple of things, or she has, and this is one way to get your name out there and get known, being early in a field and getting something published. And like, you know, I'm looking at him, I'm like, I want to read more from this person because he wrote some really good articles, you know, and so name recognition, reputation is really important. I'm sorry, Belle, I'll let you continue.
So I think the next significant focus of the research, ChatGPT in language teaching, is the acceptance and behavior of student towards ChatGPT language learning. So there are more and more research using technology acceptance model to test out the students' behavior and their perceptions. Can we go next slide?
Okay, so here we've got YouTubers, and among the people that we were, interviewing and looking at. So some we call digital pioneers, some we call early adopters, many of them are both, right? And they were creating content that people were using because we're used to using these short clips, video, portable, on demand, just in time kinds of learning. This kind of resource is playing a huge role in societal reskilling and upskilling of your employees in the workforce, in getting people in university settings to get maybe micro credentials. In fact, there's Arizona State had a nickname for YouTubeversity, YouTube, getting a degree through watching YouTube videos. So here we've got content creators who facilitate learning on YouTube are often deemed digital pioneers. Belle, you've got more notes on this slide. Do you want to add anything?
Sure. So why only YouTube? We receive a lot of reviewers comment on this. They keep asking us like why you choose to study only YouTubers for this study. So I think we can conclude this for 5 reasons. One, their pioneering role in utilizing emerging technology, including generative AI, ChatGPT, and they have influence on large population of people.
That's the second one.
Right.
It's
And their
impact.
video, right, impact. And their video on YouTube enable their perspective to reach broader audience. And the third reason, unlike individual learners, YouTubers, they actively engage with their audience. They communicate with their audience through comments and reply. So they foster a rich community of learners. And this interaction will lead richer feedback and discussions, and in turn it is often more powerful learning than the traditional learning format. And the fourth reason is the public content serves as a rich and accessible data set, so it's easy and accessible for a researcher to get the data at a very early stage. And also their proficiency and experience in teaching or learning language lends credibility to their perspective.
Number 4 is critical, right? So, you've got quick access to a hot topic, research data. If you did a study like this in a university setting, you might take 3 years to get adequate sample and so forth, and people adjusting to the use. Here we've got people in the real world, like Tom Galley there in the left in Japan, who recently retired. Another individual there who's teaching me Japanese. And I can't pronounce her name in China. Shushu, is that how you say it?
说 means speak.
And then we've got Grace in the middle, right? Who was in Bloomington for a bit and is back in Taiwan teaching Chinese. And then the woman on the right, I don't remember, what's her name?
She's teaching Japanese. We didn't interview her.
Okay, right. We didn't interview her. So they might have lessons where they're going through, definitions of words, vocabulary quizzes using ChatGPT for vocabulary quizzes, correcting the text, explaining meanings of words, giving examples, translating text into different languages. There are many, many, many more reasons to utilize ChatGPT. These were the Language Boost guys who knew 14 and 16 languages. The video that we got from them was where they're interviewing Barack Obama, using artificial intelligence to kind of simulate a interactive experience It was kind of humorous, kind of funny, it's kind of catchy, but they've developed a model for teaching languages using frequently encountered words and other things. So ramping people up in new languages rather quickly, whether it's Finnish or Arabic, Spanish, Brazilian, or whatever. It's amazing what they know. Those are the languages that the guy on the left-hand side, Lucas, knows. Fabricio's on the right. He only knows 14 languages. I think, yeah, polyglots. Here are the languages that Lucas can talk fluently: Serbian, Ukrainian, Finnish, Italian, French. I mean, these guys are unbelievable. I mean, really, just fascinating talking to them. Our whole research could be just with these guys. But yeah, they have language boost at conversational level to learn really fast different languages. In Shushu Chinese, again, Chinese languages, and here she's going through some lessons, examples of lessons with her students in translating words from Chinese to English in random order. Just some more videos you can watch. This guy we didn't interview. He's got a kind of a show in New York City where he goes to restaurants and eats foods, and he tries to use new languages that he's learning, and kind of to showcase, I guess, teach people about the languages through food, I guess. Belle, you might be able to explain that better than me. It's called Street Smart Languages.
Right. Just authentic way to teach student language.
Yeah. And so the woman there is trying to teach him Korean. And then they go into a restaurant and he uses it rather quickly. It's kind of fascinating to see what he picks up on and can do in short order. Just another language learner teacher here. I'm blanking on what this one, what hers was. Belle, do you remember what language?
I think Spanish.
Spanish,
We
yeah.
didn't interview her as well. Mhm.
And in Japanese, you can see the ChatGPT scrolling back and forth here, giving examples of sentences and how to use different words. And so asking ChatGPT to put a word in a context and put a sentence or paragraph together that they can use in the instruction. This guy was teaching Japanese, of course. She's teaching Chinese. So here, while it is possible to learn Chinese using your own textbooks, resources, and language app, having a teacher or tutor can be very helpful for several reasons. And she's got the list here of how the guidance from a teacher or a tutor like ChatGPT can, provide just-in-time support and motivation and guidance and more personalization and so forth. Can ChatGPT replace Cantonese teachers? How to use ChatGPT to learn Cantonese? Her website's called Dope Chinese with Gloria. And then we've got Grace again, teaching languages. Grace is really interesting. She's a friend of yours, right, Belle?
All right.
Yeah. And so she's back. Is she back in Taiwan teaching the languages?
I think she's now a full-time student in Taiwan National University and doing YouTube. Mhm.
Okay. And doing YouTube on the side, making money to pay for
Right.
tuition. So a lot of these people are getting side monies, right? So this is I think we sort of had this up earlier.
Right.
Our data sources 1 through, so we got the 140 YouTube videos. We got YouTube videos in 18 languages, videos and comments across 18 languages. 14 YouTuber teacher professionals, and then 19 YouTubers who we interviewed, and they had 30 videos across those 19 YouTubers. Now, keep in mind, when we did this study, it was in the early days of ChatGPT. We were collecting data in January, February last year, and it was just announced in November. So it was data from November, end of November through February, or really December through parts of February. So it's in 12 months since then. So there's a lot more videos that we could analyze, or you could analyze, and so forth. So methods. It was a mixed method study. I'll let Belle explain what the mixed methods were.
So except for the first one, we're using a mixed method study, like including online observations, content publishing tracking, and systematic content analysis of those online videos. The rest of the three are all qualitative research. The second one, we used inductive content analysis, and the third and fourth, we all use iterative thematic analysis.
You want to tell people what ethnographic approach is?
So this is a very new approach. Not many research using this approach. We all know the traditional way, right? It's called what's the traditional name way doing this? Ethnographic, right?
Ethnography, right?
Yeah, ethnographic. So this is very much like ethnographic, but we're doing it online. So we observe their how many videos they publish per day and what languages they're publishing and who are publishing those videos. So it's like our field is online. YouTube is the place that we are observing.
And AI is used as an augmentative tool, not
Right.
replacing the teacher, but adding to the possibilities. So at Teachers College Columbia, New York City, near where Summer is going to school, there's a Professor Taylor, I think Robert Taylor, when I was going to grad school, he wrote a book called Computer as Tutor, Tutee, and Tutorial, meaning that tutee, that's someone that you could teach something to it, and it would learn from you. Tutor, something it would teach you something. And tool, so tool, tutor, or tutee, tool would mean it can help you do a task better, like word processors or databases, as an augmentative kind of tool. And you can see this notion of tool, computer as tool, tutor, or tutee, very alive and well in this AI world today. So Belle, the data collection process.
Right, this is the whole process of our data collection procedures. As you can see, it's very much like a systematic video review. So we start with identify effective keywords, and then we conduct manual searching. Dr. Bonk, can you go next slide? So this is the keywords that we used. Only in those videos that directly discuss or represented ChatGPT in the context of language education were included in the sample. And there are a lot of video discussing academic writing. We exclude those video from our sample. If they cover topics such as language education in general, we also include those video, and we also exclude shorts. We know that YouTube has longer video, and those video that's less than 2 minutes, we exclude those shorts with video. And the slide video.
Is really important in doing research, coming up with criteria and exclusionary criteria, or you're just going to endlessly be analyzing data because you don't want to have every possible YouTube video in your data scope of your data, or you'll go crazy. So you want to have exclusionary criteria to eliminate those that don't apply, and you want to be clear about that in the paper that you write up. I'm sorry, Belle.
Yeah, to make sure the quality and relevance of
Right.
the sample. And the selected video were organized in Google spreadsheet by their publication date, video title, description, channel name, and about page. So this one, so to maintain the current and comprehensive sample, we also use a strategy. It's video crawler to collect all the YouTube video that were tagged with ChatGPT. So we kind of do the checking with the machine searched results. So this is how we document and organize the included videos. So coding script is where we document our content analysis, and YouTube code. This is where we categorize content creators. We've encountered a diverse group of YouTubers who are contributing to the dialogue on ChatGPT and language education. We will talk about this in detail in the finding part. And we have organized the video by different languages. As you can see at the bottom of the slides, this is allow us to see how ChatGPT is discussed and used across linguistic contexts from English, Turkish, Korean, Latin, and multi-language settings. Some of the video, they discuss multiple language in their video.
And I'll say that the person Dustin there from Germany was fascinating guy. Some of these people just really interesting just to chat with and find out what they're doing and so forth.
This is a sample of how we conducted semantic content analysis of online video. We didn't use any like in vivo or something, but I think the traditional way is also very effective.
You want to talk about natural reader or link you or?
Oh, this is some of the technology that in the video mentioned in the video that they recommend learners not only rely on AI, but also use other technologies to do cross-check or to support their speaking. National Reader. So this is like you can talk with others, dialogue. Oh, this is like where you could make ChatGPT speak. It will read the dialogue from the ChatGPT. There are tons of technology can do that now. And ChatGPT can speak now as like on their device.
They've added that. So when we did the study, they didn't have that, right?
Right. Mhm.
So, and people complained about that one thing. What would you like to have? A more conversational partner? You sure that's not natural reader instead of national reader? Natural or national?
National Reader.
Okay, well, look this up. Someone look it up and put in the chat window the link to National Reader just so I can take a look at this. Next slide. So here's some of the criteria for video selection: the quality and engagement of the video, uniqueness, relevance, how, the diversification and validity and credibility. And so here's the definitions and descriptors behind each one. So if you're wondering, well, what's relevance? Well, content creators offer unique insights into perspectives and approaches to integrating ChatGPT across different languages. The inclusion of videos focused on widely used language is, and then in terms of validity and credibility, content creators known for providing accurate information supported by reliable sources were given preference. The channels that demonstrate a commitment to fact checking and were more trustable knowledge was available. Quality content creators with a substantial number of subscribers and high levels of engagement were prioritized. So, we figured those people that have a big audience and membership, are those that are, tend to be deemed to be higher quality. Criterion ensured that the selection of videos would likely have a significant number of comments. Also, so we could look at the comments, provide sufficient data for content analysis, and then diversification. Content creators were selected from various backgrounds and perspectives, including, different languages and language learning enthusiasts, different language expertise, and so forth. So Belle, you want to add to that and then describe what this means?
So this one demonstrates our method of organizing videos within our pool to more effectively identify those that best align with the selection criteria.
Okay.
This is a sample of how we conducted inductive content analysis. So those are comments below the video. And we also score those videos from different aspects.
Research questions then become, what is the focus of the discussion and demonstrations by the YouTube content creators of ChatGPT in language education? What is the focus of the discussion and demonstrations of those YouTubers, right? Those YouTuber content creation of ChatGPT in language ed, and how do content creators describe their current practices of using ChatGPT in language education? Now, these were the questions for this study that you're reading for this week that was published. And research question number 1 has various sub-questions. How has the discussion around ChatGPT and related AI technologies evolved during its brief history as a tool for language ed, who is producing the videos, and what are the common topics and themes present in those discussions and demonstrations. So in terms of, why don't you explain this one?
So this two figures, the figure 1 displays the trends in video releases related to ChatGPT in language education during the period from November 30, 2022 to April 10th, 2023. So the video published by Tom Galley, we mentioned him many times. He published video on December 5th, 2023. So this is the first video related to ChatGPT's use in language education. So if you go next slides, it will have a.
And then if you look at figure 2,
Mhm.
so the figure 1's of all of them, figure 2 is in different languages, right? Or trends of
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what she's saying is Tom Galley jumped in there 6 days after 6 days and
Right.
posted something. So he was one of the few before the, before 2023 in 2022. So it's exploded in effect. That's Tom there.
Right.
So go ahead.
Yep, I don't have any comments on this slide.
Yeah, so the subquest, how has the discussion around ChatGPT and related technologies evolved during its brief history? And so, that's one of the questions that we were asking there. And so again, we see a blow up of figure 2 now in these different languages. I don't have the scale here for which languages are represented here.
The blue one is English.
That's what I figured, yeah. Which
So
one's
in total, sorry,
Chinese is yellow?
Chinese is, I think, yellowish, reddish thing.
And then we've got maybe Japanese and Spanish and
Right. English is the most language they published, with Japanese and French next.
Right. Oh, wrong way. So who's producing these videos? Who's out there? Well, you got educators, teachers, instructors, just like Lena and Alicia out there, and Sung-hee, and and we have technology professionals, who may have different roles in a corporate or higher ed setting or government, just a professional in the field. They may be providing tutorials. Maybe they're creating some tutorials for a class that they're developing. They're instructional designers, maybe. And then they might be the learners themselves, showing how they're learning a new language utilizing these augmentative aids of ChatGPT and so forth. And there might be the e-learning providers like, Coursera or other vendors out there, including universities themselves. And so when you start analyzing who's producing the videos, you can see on the right-hand side there, the numbers here, language teachers, 91% of, and then university professors, only 3%. And sorry, Alicia, there's only 3% of you doing this. And teacher trainers, 3%. So mostly is the language instructors. And then on the right-hand side there, we've got educators, learners, professionals. So mostly educators, teachers, only 12%, 1 in 8 are the learners, 1 in 5 are technology professionals. And you can look at this in different ways. Who's producing videos about ChatGPT? Well, now we've got to start thinking about, what kind of languages are they, teaching? And so you've got what here, 26 were English teachers, 8 were Japanese, 6 were Chinese, 5 were French, 3 were German, 3 were Spanish, 2 polyglots, and 1 Korean. But many were polyglots as learners. You want to explain that one on the right, Bill?
So we have less learners compared to teachers, and most of the learners are polyglot, which means they can speak multiple languages. So I think because I think it's not only because using technology, but also being identity as a YouTuber, that you wanted to be able to speak more language to present yourself online. So that's why I think it's not because ChatGPT, it's because they're a YouTuber.
You know, I think I want to give up my title as professor and get a new title called polyglot. That's my goal, maybe, you know, and so so the themes here in the data and the codes, you know, in terms of role of ChatGPT, it could be a virtual assistant, can be a virtual friend, a research assistant, a language genius. That's how they're described. They're describing the role of ChatGPT. You know, and then we also had hands-on demonstrations, so tips and strategies for teachers or students, innovative ways of utilizing these tools, common mistakes you might encounter, and you know, so there, you know, so forth. And you got attitudes towards ChatGPT. Well, it's a big thing. This is great. This is wonderful. It's a game changer. It's, you know, it's you know, or it's not going to replace language teachers. It's high-tech plagiarism, attitudes towards ChatGPT. It's quite varied, right? And solutions, you know, might be not just a standalone, but might be integrated, as Belle said, with the use of other kinds of technology tools for language learning, and so forth. What's the one? I skipped the first one, introducing, you know, just, you know, what does ChatGPT, what is it like? You know, in general, what is it like? You know, it's a human sounding conversation. It asks questions, it gives you answers, and so forth. Belle, you want to add anything to that?
So I can mention that high-tech plagiarism is from the interview with Chomsky. So he commented that ChatGPT is just a high-tech plagiarism.
So Noam Chomsky was interviewed about ChatGPT. Was that in our database, in our study, including Chomsky? I don't think it was, because he's not a
It's the
YouTuber.
interview on YouTube. So we
Okay.
also include that.
Right. Go ahead, Belle.
This is just a typical structure of a YouTube video that discusses the use of ChatGPT. It will start with the introduction, and then list some application of ChatGPT, and then either do hands-on demonstration or talk about the affordance or test the affordance of ChatGPT, or your learners will record their self-learning experience with ChatGPT.
So how do content creators describe their current practices of using ChatGPT? How do they perceive the potential benefits, the drawbacks of incorporating this into? That's a key question. That's an important question. You know, I want to know that. It's simple in some ways, complex in other ways, but it almost sounds like a quals question. And what strategies do they use to mitigate any drawbacks that they encounter, the challenges, the barriers, to ensure that it is going to be effective and so forth? And so, you know, what are the benefits that they see? Well, it's an assistance. It's, you know, vocabulary building, as I said before. Test preparation, big one. Study skills, right? It help you with your studying and getting ready for taking exams. And translations, big thing, you know, translating from in and out from one language to another, from English to Chinese and so forth, to personalize the learning, to help provide a sense of, you know, respect for the learner as a human being, that they give just what they need, you know, just when they need it. And you know, the other benefit, unlike a teacher who goes to sleep at night, I actually go to sleep at, you know, 2 or 3 o'clock, every 4 o'clock. You know, it's available at any time. So it's easily accessible and so forth for whatever you want. Engaging in conversations and practicing the language in a safe place. If you won't make a fool out of yourself in front of ChatGPT. You have to be worried about that. And then it can help students who normally would struggle with giving some tips and some advice and some augmentative hand-holding and some examples and so forth. So it's a tool that can help you feel like you're in a safe place. You know, that's some of the benefits, but we got more benefits right here. Providing tailored content for what this learners are going to need. Helping them with, later conversational practice that they might have to do in a job interview or a teaching kind of situation, or creating, an engaging and accessible learning environment that makes you feel like a member of a community of learners. It makes it more enjoyable, and not so much like drill and kill, although it might include drill and kill. And then reduces the workload on the language instructors. It creates worksheets that they can use, and quizzes and tests and supplemental aids. And so we got a bunch of interview questions. Here's Carlos saying, I can talk about anything. And the answers are both positive in terms of optimism displayed by bots and informative. It is rare to find that combination with humans, talking to humans, especially when you want to interact for extended periods. Humans want to go to sleep. Humans want to eat. They want to take a rest and so forth. So we got a bunch of interview data. Here's Lucas and Fabrizio again coming back at us. And, I think it's our future. It's like, inevitable right now. Right now, we're going to have this kind of stuff. And it's also fast. It's remarkably fast, remarkably intelligent. It's the future. It's the future. Like, it's inevitable. This is going to happen. And, it gives me a huge IQ bump. The more I talk to ChatGPT, I feel like I have a friend. I've increased my IQ 500 points. You can't increase your IQ 5, but it feels like it. I can get updates. I can feel like I'm making progress. We'll have something useful because, as I said, it doesn't allow us, it does not allow us to interact in most languages at a level of accuracy and fluidity that is unprecedented. I'm not sure what that one, that we'll come back to that, limited because of its inability to process certain scripts or voices and so forth. So ChatGPT is effective, but it can be limited at the same time. It has potential, it is a future, but today maybe not quite 100%. Now, in terms of useful, I will say that it is useful because it, as I said, it does allow us to interact in most languages at a level of accuracy that is unprecedented. So yeah, it's useful because now we can boost up to a higher level than it had before within those languages. More interview questions. So now we get into accuracy, fluidity, surprise, fascination. So Carlos says it does not allow us to interact so I already said that one. It gives you replies that you are not expecting, and you say, wow, ChatGPT knows this. Oh, okay. It can generate flawless English, somewhat flawless English. If the language can, if we can produce that, it can be really impressive for the world population learning English, right? It's fascinating, Craig says. It's fascinating. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. So more benefits. No, we're at drawbacks here. These tools are limited in their creativity. They're biased because of what they've been trained on, what kind of documents they've been trained on. They might have grammar and syntax errors. They might, they will lack the content-specific context cues for learning the languages. They might have incomplete information and hallucinate on what the answers might be. They don't have any emotions. So you got all these drawbacks. They might repeat information like I'm doing right now over and over and over again. So again, we've got more quotes from people, and then here's a quote on being helpful or being an assistant, or ChatGPT is a problem-solving aid or a loyal assistant or a trainable tool. Trainable's the word. Can I say loyal? Liar or something like that, Pablo says. It's a liar. It's not reliable. It's hallucinating. Always these words to describe ChatGPT. It's immediately responsive. This came out time and again during the interviews. It's immediately responsive. It's helpful for me, right? But also problems that exist out there. So you can use those words and write an article about love, for example, and 10 out of 10 times it gives me a really boring article, which I don't think is quite catchy or engaging. Sometimes it hallucinates. So I think I'm going to stop there and let Belle take this one over and add to things that I missed.
So this is the concern that we observed from the video. I wanted to mention that at the time that we analyzed, ChatGPT was not capable of engaging the user in, as I mentioned, in voice conversation, but
Yeah.
now it's now available. So we see an example of technical limitations overcome in a very short time. So those concerns and drawbacks, especially for technical aspect, I think it would be overcome in a very short time. But some concerns, for example, over rely on it and misuse are the tasks that we need to address in the future.
Right. And that point about technology transforming rather quickly and taking on these possibilities is in our tech trends paper. I just read that last night, so I saw that in there. But there are concerns about privacy. There's concern about, fears and security that people might have that are using it. Fears about replacing someone as a, as a teacher or as a worker in the educational field. And also fear that students like one of you might become too reliant on it. And so, Russell says we have a lot of different versions of English, but it produces this kind of very white, vanilla bland style of English, not too old-fashioned, not too old, kind of middle of the ground. Russell says there are concerns when we've got to think about how we're going to make sure that ChatGPT is a tool that helps students and doesn't undermine some of the skills that we're trying to teach them or that they've learned. So, just some comments from the interviews that, they're not really excited about the English produced by it sometimes. What strategies do they use to mitigate the drawbacks of ChatGPT? The limitations. So one way is to utilize other technology tools, other resources with ChatGPT is a way to overcome the problems. Another way is to double check everything ChatGPT gives. Don't believe it when you get it. Don't just trust it right away. Check it against other sources. And then integrate effective methods of learning and pedagogy before using ChatGPT. So don't just rely on it for your learning. Don't just rely on it in your teaching. And then think about the learners out there that don't have access to it. And your students in your class might not be able to afford the pro version or the 4.0 version and that kind of thing. So overcoming limitations through using it with other language learning tools and double checking. It's a tool. It's just a tool. Use other things, integrate it in many ways. So you want to take this one, Belle?
There's two emphasizing the importance of learners' motivation and efforts. What you got depends on what you ask. So this is actually from our third. I wanted to add something from our third
Right.
research. So that is the concept of take what you want from the buffet. So you wanted to teach your student prompt engineering and teach them to know what's their needs and how they can get it from the ChatGPT. So personalize AI based on their own needs and also use some strategy like deliberate practice. So you need to know that I'm using this to learn. So I still need to use some learning strategy to help me while I'm using this tool, not just have the answer copy and paste, but also through that asking question process to learn something from this process. So this is the same thing.
So Belle already mentioned this, that, we relied on YouTube. And, there are other video platforms out there that we could have tapped into, other things besides video, text or animations or simulations or, or other kinds of multimedia, virtual worlds, immersive worlds. And we just use YouTube video, so that is a limitation, but I still think it's very, very effective in finding out what's going on because that's what people are using. They're using video to learn and to teach. Availability of language learning resources in YouTube may not be equal across different languages. So, you might have tools to supplement your learning in YouTube, but those tools might be English dominant or Spanish dominant, not available in language like Serbian or Korean or Indonesian or something else. So, the tools that might be modeled that we might find to be important might not be available to everyone. YouTube videos are created by individuals or organizations with quite a diverse set of skills and expertise and qualifications. So there is no test given to YouTubers. They didn't pass an exam to become a YouTuber. They just became a YouTuber and gave themselves permission to be a YouTuber because they had an interest in being a YouTuber, but they didn't pass Bonk's standardized test of language instruction. And I don't have those, and I'll never have such a test, but they never passed that. So these are among the limitations. There are many, many more, of course, and some of the, the references in these articles or in this talk are listed in here. And Kanke is, one, as I said, that it's worth looking at. So, Belle, you want to add anything to what I ended with there?
I think you covered everything.
And Belle's smiling because I think I talked about too many slides and she always took some of hers.
Appreciate that.
Oh, okay. Any comments or questions or suggestions for what research we could be doing?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, Sanghi.
Yes. Thank you for your good presentation. I wonder if ChatGPT understand to humor or joke, and I wonder if there is any problem teaching humor and joke through ChatGPT.
My understanding is
That's
limited humor. It has some humor to it. It can understand what humor is, but the jokes it's making are continually getting better. You look at from 2018 to 2023, the GPUs, the speed of processing has increased tremendously. So the visuals it creates, the discussions that it interacts with you, it has improved. But Belle, you have a better answer.
I think ChatGPT, some of the model of the ChatGPT, they can use emoji to expression their feelings, or not feelings, but to have expressions. And I tried several times to ask ChatGPT to explain words that with humor, but the humor that ChatGPT did is really cliche, or it's not new. So I think it had limited capability, as Dr. Bonk mentioned.
Yeah. And if it can post an emoji, does it really understand what the emoji means? In a human to human kind of interaction, is it similar to that? Or is it more of a, definitional way of understanding humor and what it is, as opposed to an emotional way or both, a hybrid? Other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I've sent that to the chat column. It's about interview questions because I attended a workshop about interview methodology. So I wonder, how about your design of the interview questions? Are there any methodologies that you use, or just based on those data analysis of those video content?
Yes, we do look at our findings from our previous research, but also because we conduct interview for the second and fourth research. They are based on directed learning. So we have a framework, and we base our framework to design our research interview question.
Okay, thank
So
you.
I think if your article have a theoretical framework, it's a good start. And look at previous research, how they design their question. Interview.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, because I'm doing a research project about that, and I have finished the questionnaire process, and I'm going to design the question, interview question, but I'm still doubted about that. What kind of framework should I use? Or I just design the question based on those data of the questionnaire? Do you have any suggestions based on that?
I think it depends on your research question, what research question you wanted to answer, and based on that research question to design your interview question. And also before we design interview question, we will put interview question into different like not elements, like categorize those questions. For example, those questions are background information. Those I wanted to ask about motivation. Why are they doing this video? And some of them I wanted to ask about definition of their definition of SDL. What's their definition? And this might be a chunk, and then we'll have another chunk, maybe ask their experience and perception. So have some big like elements first, and then to have your specific interview questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Who else was jumping in here? We had another question somewhere. Yeah, Amelia.
Hi there. Thank you for speaking to our class tonight. This was one of the classes I was very much looking forward to. And I thought that generative AI is not just mimicking a bunch of data. I thought that it can somehow go beyond that. And if you could just describe that to me, I would love to hear more about that. Thank you, Belle.
So they have the so we say reasoning, like I think your question is whether ChatGPT has the reasoning skill. In the previous research, most of the researcher believe that it's a parrot, that they only repeat what data said. But now some of the researcher believe that it has somewhat reasoning skills, because it can, based on what the input and based on the context, to predict what's the best match for your answer. So it has sort of problem solving and reasoning skills. I would say we don't know. And I saw OpenAI announce that they will now testing out the memory, like ChatGPT now can memory your words, and so that it will become more personalized. So we don't know.
Hang on.
Develop really fast.
Summer needs to leave, and so we need to clap and thank her again one more time. So big round of applause for Summer for tonight. And
Thank you.
wave goodbye or something.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Thank
Happy
you,
Valentine's
Summer.
Thank you. Nice to meet y'all.
We're going to bring you back later in the semester. Yeah. When you
Sure.
have your
Hopefully
next
we will.
study.
Yeah, sure. Hopefully we will have some potential collaboration in the future.
Or next year, we'll bring you back too. I'm teaching this next spring, so we'll get you back. Thank you very much. Wish you
Thank
well in your
you.
program in New York, and everyone will visit you here in New York. So,
Sure. Welcome.
okay.
Have a great night. See you.
Thanks. See you.
Bye, Summer.
Bye.
So, Bill, did you finish your explanation there, or you want to keep going?
Yeah, I might answer your question. Like,
yeah. Okay. Anyone else? I'm going to ask Belle a question. So, Belle, you developed a new framework or extended one, but you also created 2 new terms in one of the papers. And you might want to, what were those 2 terms and what do they mean? I think that's your contribution.
2 terms. Oh, you mean the gap?
Yeah, it's the gap.
Oh, I don't know like whether I named those gap right or not, but the first gap is
The
it's really
optimization
hard.
gap.
Yes, the optimization gap,
But there's
where
another word in there too, something optimization. What is that word?
I don't remember exactly, because we're kind of debating which one is the best word for that.
Right.
It means like if you don't have enough technical skill, or you don't know how to operate ChatGPT, then you won't be able to have like play the full capacity of the ChatGPT.
Right.
So this is the gap. Or if you don't know the content knowledge very well, for example, you are a beginner of a language, you would not be able to fully implement or fully gain the capacity from the ChatGPT, because you don't understand the output from ChatGPT. So if that gap exists, like we would not optimize the capacity of ChatGPT.
Right. And is it in the languages paper or in the other paper that we published, or in
In the
both?
second research, in our second research,
Okay,
exploring the multilingual affordance.
right.
Affordances.
So that's in the iCult paper or whatever, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
So Belle's been unique in designing her research, unique and describing it and coming up with terminology that's never been used before. And so, you know, and also in thinking about next steps and so forth. So it's really, you know, we've been lucky and fortunate tonight to have two authors of 2 of the 6 studies that we're reading for this week come into our class. It's not going to happen every week. Some of these people are really hard to get a hold of, let me tell you. And some are in next week. Almost everyone's from Taiwan. And I've sent a note off to the editor in Taiwan to see if he's willing to come and chat with us a bit. Or, you know, we'll see. Stephen Yang, and National Central Taiwan University or something like that. And so there's several people I'd like to bring in. We'll see if we can get them next week. And the week after, I know the editors, and I know they've already agreed to come in. So it might not be the normal time. We'll see if you know, because a 12-hour difference to Singapore or Hong Kong or something like that. So, you know, so anyways, it's useful, beneficial to hear from the authors themselves. Maybe as a final question from me, Belle, what didn't you do? What do you see now that if you were to do this study over, what would you collect in addition? What different things would you do?
So if I do my research again,
Yeah.
you mean?
If you had to start all over from square one, how would this be different? What might you have collected or analyzed?
I would say I would do exactly the same thing because I wanted the first 2 paper. My goal is to get it like published as soon as possible because I know it's gonna become really competitive. So that's why the first 2 article, I'm proud of it, but I'm not as proud of my like upcoming publication because it has more nuance and it's deeper. But the first 2, it's timely. I mean, I won't do anything different because I think my strategy is good.
The 4th study or the paper is really deep, and the 3rd one is really good. The tech trends is really good. It's just long. The tech trends, I don't know if they'll accept that many words. There are 11,000 words now or something like that. We have to send it back tomorrow or tonight. It's due tomorrow, I think. Yeah. So those are actually they are better papers because we took more time and so forth. Any final comments before we go tonight? Again, I thank everyone for coming in here. I'm going to stop the recording here. Week 6, R678, spring of 2024, ChatGPT as a tool for language learning. And we're always learning.